Crying doesn't disturb the class.
Okay. Guys, we're gonna go ahead and start. So today's lesson is focused on different types of transition, and maybe some misconceptions and maybe some things that'll help you in your specific style. But it also crosses between styles in terms of concept. So the first thing that we're going to do is a Reiru style shift forward, right? Or Suriashi, okay? So the feeling is that you're going to be extending with the front foot. We're going to be working with Zenkutodachi or Motodachi. Or if you're struggling for flexibility, you can just take a Zenkutodachi with a little bit of a shorter position. And then what you're going to do is you're going to extend with the front leg, and then you're going to have a feeling of adduction. So basically, adduction is when your hip moves this way, right? So this is adduction, that's abduction, right? So many people believe that when they see these type of katas like anan or paiku or things like this, right, that it's a bend in the knee and a stamp of the heel. This is not actually the idea, okay? So the idea is that you have an extension from the front, and then you have a slight lift of the foot, that's okay, but you have a feeling of adduction, bringing it close with the hip. So this is very similar to, if I can put it in Shotokan context, if you're doing Gojishi or Sho, you'll see like a lot of the Japanese guys, they have a little bit of a drag with the back foot because they're tightening up with the hip. It's not necessarily that there's a step there, but this is a very similar feeling, right? So I'm reducing my position, extending with the front, and then bringing it close. Adduction with the back hip. So that's the feeling we're going to go with in the beginning, right? So firstly, left foot in front, extend with the left foot, and then bring the right foot in. Let's go, Ajime.
Jerry, how are you?
Here we go. Finding you, bud. Good to see you.
That's nice, Hendrik. That's actually very cool. That's cool. So guys, we're aiming for a solid feeling with the back leg, hey? So we don't want to collapse at the knee. We don't want to collapse at the hip. We want this to sort of be hitting like a board. So there can be a little bit of bend in the beginning of the movement, but by the end of the movement, when I actually squeeze and contract, bam. This feeling, right? Lock everything out. And try to have a feeling of pulling to the center, guys. So this feeling, not necessarily just forward. It's actually there. 45 degrees is the direction you want to be pulling. Here. This feeling. Okay, and if you haven't done the other side, let's just switch it over. That's nice, Darby. That's cool. How's it, Lorenzo? Really try to be a little bit more active with that back leg. Try to be a little bit more sharp. Tuck, tuck. Yeah, that's better. That's better. That's nice. That's nice. Carmen, try to make sure that front knee stays bending over your toes, hey? So you have a tendency of the knee to drift to the center. Try to make sure that it stays over the toes this way. Claudia, try not to have a jumping feeling, hey? So the idea is not up and then pull in, right? The feeling is extend and retract. It's not up, down. It's extend, push, retract. Better, better. That one was better. That was nice. Okay, guys, so everybody just come in quickly. So the next concept that we're going to look at, we're going to actually deal with the same concept, but instead of moving forward now, we're going to move backwards. So actually, the last Kumite session that Sensei Jody was dealing with, he did a defensive movement where he moved the back foot 45 degrees, or not quite 45 degrees, 22.5 degrees, right? And he extended that back foot back to go for the urumawashi. Some of you guys might remember that, okay? So this is exactly the same concept when I'm shifting backwards. So many people retract from the front, and then we have a front foot loading, this like Michael Jackson feeling, and then I'm not able to push back properly, right? So actually, to maintain my center, I have to be doing this instead of this, right? So I want to be extending from the back, and then again, we have a pulling feeling, but instead of the back foot having the pulling feeling, we have the front one pulling the feeling, okay? So it's there, extend, bam, retract, 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 okay? So guys, try to look for an active pull in between the legs over here. Boom, boom, catch, nice and fast and dynamic. Let's go, Hajime. So Hendrik, so for the purposes of the drill, when we get a little bit more advanced, the timing of the feet can actually overlap. But when you're first learning the movement, it's better to isolate. So when the back foot moves, make sure that the front foot stays absolutely still. And then you have a stable base, and then you pull from there. So very much the 1-2 feeling first, hey guys? Yeah, that's better, Hendrik. Nice. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Nick, make sure you finish the extended stance before you pull. So don't have the back foot, exactly. Don't have the back foot in the air when you're pulling. Make sure it's cemented and then pull. Exactly, that's better. Nice, Darby, that's cool. Tam, this is everything that we do in Zenkutsu or Motodachi is actually an awesome exercise for you, because you want to make sure that your knees go over your toes. So you know that one of the things that restricts your movement in Kumite is your glenu valgum, right? So this is a really cool exercise for like practicing like consciousness of my knee position and direction. Carmen, try to make sure that your hips stay square. Okay, guys. Actually, that brings up a cool point. Just everybody come and take a look. So there's a couple of options that I have when it comes to what my hips are doing when I do this, right? So besides the adduction feeling of my hips pulling together, my hips can also rotate on this axis over here, right? So I have a couple of options. So if I'm typically more like Goju or Shito, then I'll probably do a double hip motion, right? This type of thing, okay? If I'm Shotokan, I might do a singular hip motion. So if I extend and then retract this way. Darby, can you show us? You actually do it really well. So Darby's linear hip movement is really good. So you see he's got a harmony position and then he comes back to square as he retracts. So that's a really good example of a single hip movement. That's nice. So think about what suits you and what is applicable for most of your katas. For me, it's a double hip movement because most of my katas that I do look for that kind of feeling, right? But I would recommend that most of the Shotokan people will probably be looking for a double. Claudia, I'm sorry, a single. Claudia, you'll probably be looking for a double. Nick, you'll probably be looking for a double. Okay, boom, 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 boom. This feeling, right? Okay. So next exercise, guys, we're going to be taking a look at the feeling of weightlessness, right? And a little bit of rotation. And then we're going to add this concept of bringing the feet together at the same time. Okay, Sensei Jody just asked me to demonstrate double hip. So guys, double hip basically means that I start in a square position, right? And then what I do is, depending on which position I want to end up in, I have a throw, throw, and back. Throw, throw, back. This feeling, right? Okay. So if I do Anan, for instance, right? I start off in a square position. I loosen up. There. Start from square, double rotation. Okay? So it's actually a vibration at the hip level. It's a different method of generating power than just linear pull type feeling, right? Okay. So this you must apply what is applicable to you, whether you're doing a double or a single hip movement. So the next exercise that we're going to do is we're going to take motodachi or zenku tadachi, whichever one you're more comfortable with. You're going to go front hand punching, right? Maigiri, punch, switch 45 degrees. Okay? So it's Maigiri, punch, switch 45 degrees. Okay? So now, again, you're going to have to take your line again, boom, and you're going to have to clamp on the inside over here so that you can maintain your line when you rotate. Boom, squeeze. Okay, so let's try this exercise out, guys. Hajime. So we start off 45 degrees, right? So everybody face the camera. So now face 45 degrees from where you are. So front left corner, let's say. Cool, excellent. So now back leg kicks Maigiri and then punch front hand. Boom. Exactly. Now switch other 45 degrees. Exactly. And then continue, guys. Go ahead and do about 20. Yeah, exactly, Nick. That's right. So you switch around your front leg. Exactly. That's right, Nick. Okay, once you feel like you understand what you're doing with the movement, guys, please add some speed and power and intent in your movements. Hendrik, try to keep your energy down. So try not to have your consciousness over here, right? It's difficult to actually explain like in scientific terms, but you actually want to feel like you have a grounded feeling and most of your energy is sort of flowing through your legs, right? Hi. Try not to rotate the shoulders chunky. Try to keep them square. If anything, focus on protraction of the scapula, but don't rotate the shoulders. That's actually cool, Hendrik. That's nice. Nice intention. Okay, and if you haven't done the other leg, then switch sides, guys. Yeah, that's the wrong way, Nick. Carmen. So I think one of the most important points for you when doing any kata drill is make sure that your hips are underneath your head. So you have a tendency of having a disconnect between your upper body and your lower body. Once you get this correct, it's going to help your kumite as well, because you're going to be able to hit with your body more effectively, right? So at the moment, you often have this feeling, right? And you can see that now the energy that's being used to stand up is not connected to my upper body. You want this feeling, right? You want a continuation of your energy right through. So then I can hit with my whole body, this feeling, as opposed to step and then hit, right? So try to make sure that your hips are always rolling under you, this feeling. That's much better, Chunky. That's cool. Yeah, nice. And then just add the switch for us. You have enough space to do the switch as well. So my giri punch. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Nice, Hendrik. That's cool. So Davi, your back leg is pulling in very nicely, but make sure that your front leg also has that pulling feeling. So at the moment, you're just basically rotating around the front leg. So you actually want both of them to both boom inside, as opposed to just the back foot moving. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's much better. Yeah, that's much better. Okay, guys. So we're going to do a slightly different drill now. Okay. So the next is that we're going to cover the concept of weightlessness or inertia, right? So those of you who understand, who studied physics, right? You understand that if an object is going in a certain motion and then you switch directions, there's a moment where the object isn't in motion anymore, right? So the idea is, if I drop, right, I have a moment that my body actually isn't as heavy as it is when I'm standing up. So from here, it's really difficult to rotate, right? I have to fight the friction of the floor. But if I do this, you'll feel that there's a moment that actually I'm not putting any stress on the floor. And then from here, I'm able to rotate really easily. Okay. So for, yeah, weightlessness, exactly, Sensei. So for the Shito or Goju, guys, we're going to do first movement in Chatanyara, right? So from here, we're going to drop and then Shuto Uke, hips facing to the side. For the Shotokan people, you can do the first movement in Kankudai, right? So from here, you want to have this feeling, okay? Drop and catch. Okay. This also ties into Sensei Jody's concept of atoshi, which is dropping power, right? It ties into that. It's not exactly the same. It's a sub-concept. But we want to have the feeling of control and catch yourself in that moment where you don't have any weight and then move in it. Okay, let's try. Hajime. Try not to step, Davi. Try to drop. Yeah, exactly. That's better. Yes, much better. Allow gravity to work for you, guys. That's cool, Chunks. You winning there, Tam? Okay, try again. So basically it's just rotating into Zenku Tadachi on the right hand side and then striking open hand forward. Yeah, that's all it is. Try not to rotate into it, try to drop into it. Okay, so we're going to take it to a different set of basics now. We're going to keep with the same concept. And now we are going to add Jikuashi on top of it, right? Okay, don't worry. I'm going like an overview of a lot of concepts that we're going to do, and we'll probably unpack it and cover it in more detail in the next couple of weeks, right? So the next concept that we're going to talk about is Jikuashi. Jikuashi, if you translate it from Japanese, it means weight on leg. So basically, the concept is very much similar in that I need to drop in order to create that weightlessness and then create a rotation, a torsion power with my leg, right? So if I'm doing Shotokan, you can do, just tell me, Sensei Jody, if this is appropriate. So I can do 45 degrees Kibadachi and then retraction into Neko Ashidachi. Step through into Kibadachi, 45 degrees, retraction into Neko Ashidachi. If you're doing
Fudodachi.
Fudodachi better?
Fudodachi.
Okay. So from here, guys, Shotokan guys then go into Fudodachi, retract into Neko Ashidachi, Fudodachi, retract into Neko Ashidachi. So your Neko Ashidachi is always facing forward and your Fudodachi is always facing 45 degrees. For the Shito or Goju guys, we're going to go Shikodachi, retract. Shikodachi, retract. Again, two concepts that I want you guys to focus on, right? Is Jiku Ashi. So this rotation of the foot, I'm going from 45 to forward, right? 45 degrees forward, 45 degrees back to 45 degrees forward. Okay, same thing in Fudodachi, 45 degrees forward, 45 degrees forward, right? Okay, and the feeling of weightlessness. When I want to rotate, I want that slight dropping feeling, right? Slight drop, rotate. So I have that feeling of weightlessness so that I can do a fast rotation. Okay, let's try. Hajime. That's nice, Carmen. That's cool. Try to keep your level, Tam. So try to keep your head at the same level. Yeah. Have a little dropping feeling before you transition into that Neko Ashidachi. Yeah. That's better. Nice, Hendrik. Good pull. Make sure it's not just the movement of the front foot, hey? So make sure that it's not just the front foot moving across. You want to have both legs squeezing. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Just like that. So good. Much better, guys. Nice, guys. Very good. Okay. Next. Next, guys. Next exercise that we're going to do. So the last two exercises. The next that we're going to do. Sensei, have we covered roll, pull, push properly yet? No, hey?
Well, we have with some people, but not everybody.
With some people.
Never a bad time.
Okay. So we're going to start off with a kneeling basic that Sensei Jody actually taught me, and it's a really cool way for you to understand what your front leg needs to do in order for you to have initial speed when you transition from Zenkutsudachi forward, right? And actually, all of these movements, because they're so basic and biomechanical, you can apply them to kumite if you use a little bit of brain. It's really easy, right? Okay. So the exercise that we're going to do, you're going to be on your knees, right? And then you're going to have one leg in front of you like this. And then what I want you to focus on is I want you to move that front knee forward, okay? And you're going to move that front knee as far forward as possible. So you're going to look for that positive shin angle, okay? Until you can't anymore, and then that heel's going to come off the ground. Once that heel comes off the ground, you're going to roll through, okay? So again, let me just get a better angle so you guys can see more of it. So I'm here, kneeling, positive shin angle, heel up, and I roll through. Okay, let's try it out. Hajime. So your back knee and your front foot should land almost at the same time, guys. It's not easy, Tam. It's not an easy one to get. So Tam, try to first. What you want to do is you want to look for your maximum soleus stretch. That's what you first want to do, and then from there, yeah, no, but that's much better. That's much better. Then from there, once you start releasing, pull the back leg through. Focus on pulling it through. So it's an active, fast pull. Boom. That's nice, Darby. That's excellent. That's much better, Tam. That's the idea. That's the idea. Nice chunks. That's cool. Nice. So boy. Try to keep that body upright through the movement, Rui. So your upper body is playing passenger through this movement, right? I should be able to drink coffee. I should be able to comb my hair, whatever. My legs are doing their thing. Stay nice and upright, calm. Don't bend. Stay upright. Keep your center line. That's nice, Hendrik. That's cool. Good intent. Nice. Nice. Okay. Okay, guys. So we're gonna graduate the concept now, right? So we're gonna go from kneeling. So with the kneeling of the exercise, we're isolating the rolling of the front knee. Now we're gonna add in a couple more components that you have to take care of if you're standing and you're going through Zenko Tadachi just standing, right? So my thinking is Zenko Tadachi or Motodachi, right? I have a feeling that like there's a nail through my front foot, right? There's a nail, so it can't move, okay? So the only way that I can shift my position with the front leg is if I move my knee forward, right? So this is exactly what we were practicing just now. Once I'm able to pull or push my weight forward, now there's a pull, an active pull with the back leg. So the feeling that we were practicing all the time, this retraction, this is exactly what we're gonna do. So first movement, roll, and then through. Okay, so really important. This is for initial speed in your Zenko Tadachi. It's actually really easy for you to go from a stable base and then start off a little bit slowly and accelerate through the movement. But you want that initial straight off the mark, bam! Okay, and the only way that you do that is from a stable base. So you want to be stable with the front foot, stays exactly where it is, roll the weight forward, and then transition through. Okay? So let's try that out, guys. Each. So Darby, make sure that that front knee stays forward, because so to have the foot at a little bit of an angle on the front is okay, but make sure that the foot is not the knee is not following that angle of the foot. So you still want to be forward with that knee. Cool. Otherwise, you're losing a lot of energy to the side. You want to have that forward pushing feeling. That's nice, Tam. That's really cool. Sugoi. Nice, calm. Nice. Okay, guys, just come close. So we're gonna put the final variation on the same footwork actually, and that'll probably be our last exercise for the evening. But so what I see many of you doing now that you have good initial speed, right? Because you're cementing the front foot and you're pulling the back foot nicely, is when you stop the movement, I see this, right? I don't see boom, continuous forward intention. And the reason for that is actually just contraction of the glutes. We don't really have enough time to go over the points of simultaneous contraction throughout the legs so that you have a forward pushing feeling. But basically, it's a feeling of the back glute needs to contract so that I'm always pushing through. I cannot give with the hips once I'm coming through with a punch. So the last concept I'm going to cover, or I'm going to put on top of what we've already done, because basically we've stuck with the same concept, we've just done them in a different way and we've added, right? Is how to hit with body, okay? So many people actually, especially in WKF today, it's one of mine and Sensei Jody's irritations, is that people don't actually hit when they do techniques, punching and striking techniques, right? Oftentimes it's just an extension of the arm or a quick snap of the elbow type feeling, right? But we want a feeling that not only are we extending with the arm, we actually want the ribs to be hitting, boom, boom. So some of you might know the term dissociation. Tam, you know dissociation, right? Yeah. So basically, this is something that you talk about if you're a physical therapist or you're a biokineticist and you're treating somebody who had a stroke. So if you have a stroke, basically the one side of your body becomes like a plank, right? So you can't differentiate between, yeah, very good point, Sensei, yeah. So I can't differentiate between individual joints bending and just the whole side moving. So I have to move everything like this. So what I want to be able to do is I don't want this side of my torso to just be hitting as one. I need to be able to differentiate between hitting with the hip, hitting with the obliques, hitting with the ribs, and hitting with the shoulder. And that's cool. Thankfully, I've been practicing it long enough so I can actually demonstrate to you guys what it looks like when you hit with different parts of the body. But now we're going to be focusing on hitting with the rib area, right? Because that's the first area. Once you understand how the shoulder works, once you understand how the hip works, now you understand how to hit with the ribs, right? And then when you differentiate between the ribs and the obliques, that's a little bit more advanced. But to start off, what we're going to do is we're going to have the stepping through exercise, making sure that you have a roll, pull, push feeling. And then instead of doing a punch, we're going to hit with the elbow like this, right? So then I need to have a contraction here. Okay? So when I step through with the front hand, striking forward this way. Okay? This way. Okay? You can grab and hit if you want to, if it's more comfortable for you as a Gorju person, or you can just use the elbow. I like just using the elbow because now I'm just focusing on this. Right? Okay, let's give it a try, guys. That's much better, Danielle. That's cute, Claudia.
Yeah, that wasn't supposed to go to everyone. I'm sorry.
Okay.
We appreciate the love anyway.
Yeah. So guys, try to be conscious of a forward pushing feeling with the ribs when you're doing the strike. You want this, boom. The elbow position is not really that important. In fact, it's even better if you hold your elbow sort of in line with your shoulder. Because if you push it in front, now you're getting confused between what your shoulder is doing and what your ribs are doing. You want this feeling. Okay. That's actually much better, Hendrik. Yeah, that's much better. Nice. Nice, Davi. That's cool. Try not to rotate your whole torso. So try to, so you should try to have, yeah, okay, no. Continue. I'll explain that part at the end of the class because it's actually something we all need to do. Yeah. Nice. Okay, guys, everybody come in, unmute yourselves. If you want to turn on your camera, then you may. Just to end off, guys. Okay. So, firstly, are there any questions?
Mike, just one thing with the weightlessness.
Yes.
Is it a different movement if you're doing Kankusho? That. Is it different or?
Not really. Not really. It is slightly different because it requires a little bit more extension and there's a side movement to it. But the idea is actually that you have a drop in center, right? So actually the knees bending allows for that feeling of weightlessness. And when you're weightless, that is the correct time to move. This is how you maximize your speed. So yes and no, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does.
Okay, cool.
Mike, in essence, when you're looking for weightlessness, it's anytime the body is about to drop. So if you start with a small rise in feeling, this can help you step through quicker. If you're already up and you start to drop down into something like Basadai or Kankudai there, then same feeling. It just allows you to turn or to move quicker, smoother. So the idea here is to almost like, I don't know if you guys have watched any Taekwondo basics, but they actually actively step up and drop down into every single technique. They call it a sine wave. That is taking it too far, but it's that feeling of being unencumbered through rotation and being unencumbered through movement. Okay, so really the Michael's answer is like yes and no, because this can be applied to almost any technique, but some are more classic examples than others.
Okay.
Exactly, Sensei.
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay, cool. So just I wanted to touch on something that Rui was doing. So Rui was doing something interesting towards the end there, in that he was rotating actually his whole torso, right? So this was a really difficult lesson to streamline because we're actually talking about the blueprint of karate, right? We're talking about the basic biomechanics that make up all movements. So it's really easy to go, ooh, this and this and this and this and this and this and this, you know? But we're trying to keep it to a limited amount of concepts and try to keep a consistent line. So in rotating the whole body, you actually want to, I've spoken about this before, you want to be able to keep the one side of your body constant and the other side is movable. So Sensei Jody talks about having a door that you slam. You don't want a revolving door, right? To create impact, because then the thing just keeps on going. You're never going to create impact with a revolving door. You want one side to be solid, boom, and then the other side rotates around. So for instance, left side is solid, and then the right side meets the left side if I'm doing a Gyakuzuki type action, right? For instance, okay? So it's very important to be able to, again, it's a part of dissociation. So now we're talking about right and left. And then what I was getting into is superior and inferior. You talk about shoulder, you talk about rib, you talk about hip. So you have the different planes and the dissociation inside it. Okay, does that make sense, guys?
To some people.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, Mike, and it probably will only take 40 or 50 years to understand the first part.
Hi.
But I've got a stupid Shotokan brain. Maybe the Goju and the Shoryu guys are better.
No, definitely. No, we're definitely not any better off, Sensei. But that's a lie, Sensei, because you've been doing Goju longer than any of us. So.
It's a true story, but still don't understand. Darby and I were laughing about double hip because in Shotokan such thing exists.
Okay.
I've got two hips. Which one do you want me to move?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe an example. Yeah.
Yeah, grab your opponent and do a double scorpion kick.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, I really enjoyed tonight's session. Thank you very much, guys. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thanks, guys.
Very cool.
I'll see you Thursday. Thank you.
Cool. See you on Thursday. Have a lovely evening, guys. Ciao, ciao. Bye.
Yeah, man.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, man. It's great.